Na 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 na. Intro music. We don't have the budget for real music. Sorry, we only have one listener. Hi, I'm Richard Lee Henry, and you're listening to Federal versus State Debate, or otherwise known as... Oops, wrong channel. Quick, change it back. Oh no, they got us. Anyways, I'm joined by Pierce Butler today, and we are discussing the huge debate over marijuana. This is widely debated because it's often seen as it could be either way, and federal is trying to extend its power over the state governments, and state governments see it as their own power to regulate, produce, and grow marijuana. So, why don't you start us off, Pierce?
Okay, so most Americans have heard that marijuana is regulated by the federal government, and it is. It should stay that way because under the Commerce Clause it states to regulate commerce with foreign nations and among the states and with Indian tribes. Section 1, Article 8, Clause 3. This clause gives the national government constitutional rights to regulate marijuana. The reason we don't leave it up to the states is because the states could start imposing trade barriers on each other and it would destroy our economy. The Commerce Clause was used in a Supreme Court case in 1938 of Wickard versus Filburn. There was a wheat regulation during the Great Depression, and Filburn grew excess wheat and consumed it for himself. The court ruled that this affected interstate commerce because he was not buying from the open market, and that would effectively lower prices, keeping us in the Depression. What does that mean for marijuana? It means that under the Commerce Clause, the government can criminalize the production and consumption of marijuana even if it is legal in the state. This was settled in Gonzalez versus Reich. Reich lived in California, where he grows his own medical marijuana legally. His house was raided by a federal agency and he was arrested. He sued the national government, claiming they had overstepped its constitutional rights when it hadn't. SCOTUS had ruled that he could possibly sell it, and the sold product can go to a state where it isn't legal and can be bad for anyone caught using it.
Thank you, Pierce. We're going to take a quick break while I prepare my argument. Music breaks over. Alright, we're back. Now, I'd like to just say that you're wrong, in my opinion. With the states' rights of being able to regulate crime in their own borders, states have the right to decide the punishment for marijuana use within their own states. Sorry about that. There is nowhere in the Constitution delegating that power to the federal government, therefore it goes to the states. Looking at federal attempts to control the substance, they just aren't successful, and this issue is below their attention. It is much easier for an issue like this to be handled by the states within each state rather than drain the resources of our federal government, which are better spent on issues at a federal level. Even with the federal government being able to regulate interstate commerce, that is no justification for federal control. Marijuana should be included with states' rights to handle crime. And if possessing or using marijuana is not considered a crime in certain individual states, it should be allowed. The states know their people the best. The federal government has no real right to intervene if states regulate the substance and decide punishments for it on their own. The federal government was never given that power. We don't have a unitary system of government, after all. To prevent the federal government from expanding power it never had. Therefore, it doesn't control this right given to the states. Now, you've all had a chance to hear both sides of the story. Should the national government or state government decide on the issue of marijuana? The national government says that they should regulate because of the Constitution, while the states say they have the right under the Bill of Rights and a different part of the Constitution. We as a group here at the podcast are all on the side of state, but we can't keep it one-sided, so that's why we included the national argument. That just about wraps it up for us here at the Federal versus State, and on today's episode we learned that the national government has the right to regulate due to the Commerce Clause, but that the states regulate their own crime, and that under the Bill of Rights the people in those states can't be arrested or imprisoned for the crime of having weed.
I'm Pierce Butler.
And I'm Richard Lee Henry. And this has been Federal versus State. Da 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 da, music closing. Okay.